Welcome to the deep dive. We're here to cut through the noise and get straight to the core ideas that can really make a difference.
That's the goal.
Today, we're taking a close look at Matthew chapter 7. It's, full of famous lines, but maybe we don't always dig into what they truly mean.
Right. People quote it all the time.
We're working from a YouTube transcript analysis and the actual NIV text itself.
Good sources. Straightforward.
And our mission really is to unpack these teachings, see how relevant they still are, and maybe give you a shortcut to understanding some pretty deep concepts.
Yeah, and they are deep. These aren't just like dusty old verses. They're incredibly practical.
Practical, yeah.
And honestly, sometimes surprising. They challenge how we often think about things like judgment or what we do, or even just being, authentic.
Revolutionary then, and maybe still revolutionary now.
I think so. Definitely makes you pause and reconsider things.
Okay, let's dive right in then. The chapter kicks off with a really strong command. Do not judge, or you too will be judged.
Boom. Right out the gate.
It sounds simple, but... well, don't we need to make judgments constantly just to function? How does that work?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? But the text gives us a clue right away. It talks about reciprocal judgment.
Meaning?
For in the same way you judge others, you will be judged.
Huh.
So the standard you use on others, and with the measure you use, it will be measured to you. It's like whatever ruler you use to measure someone else.
That's the ruler used on you.
Exactly. It's about the kind of judgment, the harshness, the standard. It forces you to think about your own approach because that's what's coming back. It's less about if you discern and more about how.
And then it gets really visual, almost uncomfortably visual.
Oh, yeah. The plank and the speck.
Right, the speck of sawdust in your brother's eye while you've got this, massive plank in your own eye.
It's almost comical imagery, but the point is deadly serious.
And then the text just calls you out, you hypocrite.
No messing around there.
First, take the plank out of your own eye, and then you will see clearly to remove the speck from your brother's eye.
And that's the core insight, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's all about self-correction first. Humility.
You can't perform delicate eye surgery on someone else if you're basically blind yourself.
Precisely. You need that internal honesty, that self-awareness, before you can genuinely, effectively help someone else with their maybe smaller issues. Fix your big stuff first.
Okay, so assuming we're trying to do that work looking inward, how does this connect to interacting with others? It seems to shift gears slightly.
It does, but I think it's connected. It moves to this instruction. Do not give dogs what is sacred. Do not throw your pearls to pigs.
Whoa, that sounds harsh. What are the secret things and pearls here?
Well, think about the context. You've just been told to get your own house in order, to see clearly. Now it's about discerning where to share your valuable insights.
Okay.
Sacred things, pearls. These probably represent deep truths, valuable wisdom, maybe even intimate parts of your life or faith. Things with real worth.
And the warning is, if you give them to dogs or pigs,
they may trample them under their feet and turn and tear you to pieces. It's a caution about discernment in sharing.
So it's not about looking down on people.
I don't think so. It's more about recognizing that not everyone is ready, willing, or able to appreciate certain truths.
Okay.
Sharing something precious where it will be misunderstood, mocked, or even used against you. Well, that's not wise stewardship of that truth. It's about finding receptive ground, protecting the value.
That makes sense. It's strategic wisdom, not just secrecy. Okay, so after these kind of challenging instructions on self-awareness and discernment.
Right, which can feel a bit heavy.
Yeah, it shifts again, and this part feels much more universally hopeful.
Definitely. This is the ask, seek, knock section.
Ask, and it will be given to you. Seek, and you will find. Knock, and the door will be opened to you. It's such a strong promise.
It really is. And notice the verbs. Ask, seek, knock. They're all active.
You have to do something.
Exactly. It's about active pursuit, persistent engagement. And the promise follows. For everyone who asks receives. The one who seeks finds. And to the one who knocks the door will be opened. It implies a responsive reality.
And then it uses that really relatable analogy, the one about parents.
Yeah, the human parent analogy. It's simple but powerful.
Which of you, if your son asks for bread, will give him a stone?
Right. Or a snake instead of a fish. Nobody would do that, hopefully.
And then the punchline hits you. If you then, though you are evil, that word evil always jumps out.
It's strong language, yeah. It probably means flawed, imperfect, certainly compared to the divine ideal.
Right. Know how to give good gifts to your children. How much more will your Father in heaven give good gifts to those who ask him?
The logic is straightforward. if even flawed humans try to do good by their kids.
Then a perfect source of goodness must be infinitely more generous.
Exactly. It's meant to build trust, to encourage you to actually do the asking, seeking, and knocking without fear.
And this whole section seems to build towards one huge summarizing principle.
Ah, you mean the golden rule.
Yes. So, in everything, do to others what you would have them do to you.
The bedrock.
For this sums up the law and the prophets. That's a massive claim that this one sentence captures the essence of everything.
It is massive. But think about it. It's a practical, ethical framework you can apply anywhere, anytime.
Puts the onus on empathy. How would I want to be treated?
Right. It flips self-interest into a tool for ethical behavior. It's not just a nice sentiment. It's presented as the distillation, the core principle of vast amounts of wisdom and teaching, the ultimate test for how to act.
Okay, so we've got judgment, wisdom, asking the golden rule. Then the path metaphor comes in, and it feels like another challenge.
Two paths, yeah. It definitely shifts the tone again.
Enter through the narrow gate, for wide is the gate and broad is the road that leads to destruction, and many enter through it.
It's easy to find, easy to walk, requires no effort maybe.
But small is the gate and narrow the road that leads to life, and only a few find it. What are these paths really representing for us today? Doesn't mean most people are, like, doomed?
I don't know if it's about doom so much as choice and consequence. The narrow path seems to imply something requiring effort, discipline, maybe going against the grain.
The less popular choice.
Often, yeah. It suggests that real life, maybe meaning deep purpose or connection or truth, isn't found on the path of least resistance. It takes intention.
Whereas the broad road is easy, popular, but leads to destruction. Maybe meaning like a wasted life or a life without that deeper foundation.
Could be. A scattering of energy, maybe, lack of focus. It contrasts the intentional, possibly difficult path with the easy, default path many might drift onto.
And if the path to life is narrow and harder to find, well, that makes guides really important, which sets up the next warning.
A warning about false prophets. Crucial if the way is narrow.
Yeah, watch out for false prophets. And the description is kind of chilling. They come to you in sheep's clothing.
Looking harmless, pious, maybe even attractive.
But inwardly, they are ferocious wolves. Deception. So how do you tell?
And here's the key again, very practical. By their fruit, you will recognize them.
Not by their words, not by their clothes.
Nope. By the results, the outcomes. The text makes it plain with those agricultural examples. Do people pick grapes from thorn bushes or figs from thistles? It's common sense.
Things produce according to their nature.
Exactly. Every good tree bears good fruit.
Yeah.
But a bad tree bears bad fruit.
Yeah.
It can't be otherwise. So look at the actual impact of their lives and teachings. What's the result? That's how you know. Actions and outcomes trump appearances and claims.
That's a really clear standard. So judging the fruit. Now, linking this back to our own lives, the text pushes deeper on this idea of authenticity. It's not just about spotting fakes out there.
Right. It turns the lens back on us.
Not everyone who says to me, Lord, Lord, will enter the kingdom of heaven. Just saying the right words isn't enough.
Not nearly enough. The standard is incredibly clear. Only the one who does the will of my Father who is in heaven.
Doing, not just saying.
And then it gives that really sobering future scene. People claiming all sorts of amazing deeds.
Right. Lord, Lord, did we not prophesy in your name? And in your name drive out demons? And in your name perform many miracles? Sounds impressive.
Super impressive. But the response, then I will tell them plainly, I never knew you. Away from me, you evildoers.
Wow. That's harsh. So even miracles aren't the point.
Apparently not, if they aren't connected to actually doing the will of God, to that genuine alignment and obedience. The emphasis is overwhelmingly on action that stems from a real connection, not just outward performance or verbal claims.
And this feels like it all builds up to the final, powerful analogy that ties everything together.
The wise and foolish builders, yes. A perfect summary.
So you have the wise man. What does he do? He hears these words of mine and puts them into practice.
Action again. He hears and does.
And because he does, he's like someone building his house on the rock. So when the storms hit, the rain came down, the streams rose, and the winds blew.
The inevitable trials of life.
Yet it did not fall because it had its foundation on the rock. Solid. Secure.
Built on applied wisdom.
Then the contrast. The foolish man. He also hears these words of mine.
So he has the knowledge. He heard the same stuff.
And does not put them into practice. He hears but doesn't act.
And he builds on sand. Easy foundation, maybe? Quick.
Seems like it. But when the same storms come, rain, streams, wind,
Reality hits.
his house falls, and great was its crash. Total collapse.
It's such a clear picture. The ultimate insight here is that the stability of your entire life, your character, your spiritual and ethical foundation,
Yeah.
it all depends on applying the wisdom you receive.
Hearing isn't enough. Knowing isn't enough.
It's necessary but insufficient. Action rooted in that knowledge is what builds something that lasts. Otherwise, it's just sand,
And it ends by telling us how the original audience reacted.
which is fascinating in itself.
They were amazed at his teaching. Why? Because he taught as one who had authority and not as their teachers of the law.
That tells you something about the impact of these words. It wasn't just another lesson. There was a weight, a clarity, a directness.
An authority.
Yeah, it felt different. It commanded attention because it rang true, not just as theory, but as lived, authoritative wisdom. It wasn't just interpreting rules, it was revealing reality.
Wow. Okay, that was quite the journey through just one chapter. We've really covered a lot.
We did, it's packed.
From looking at the plank in our own eye before judging, to the wisdom of knowing when not to share pearls.
Right, and the confidence to ask, seek, and knock.
The power of the golden rule, spotting the difference between sheep and wolves by their fruit.
And that final crucial point about building on rock, not sand, putting it all into practice.
It really does feel like a roadmap.
I think it is a practical guide for, navigating life,
Yeah.
how to build something solid within yourself and in how you relate to the world. It's less about abstract beliefs and much more about concrete ways of living.
How to actually live. So as we wrap up, maybe something for you listening to think about. Reflecting on that plank and speck idea and the wise builder putting things into practice. What's maybe one specific teaching from all this that you feel nudged to actually do this week?
Just one small step.
Yeah, and how might that single actionable step start to, shore up your own foundation, something to chew on?